Caroline, you are showing Beeple for the first time in a museum. It's what we call a phygital piece, a physical and digital piece. So it's a big statement. Can you explain?
Well, it's a big statement and it's also a big risk because digital art, or what we call digital art, has not yet been accepted in the art world. What the digital art world calls the traditional art world, which is very strange to be considered traditional. I've been everything but traditional in my whole life. Can I explain? Well, I think that we live in a fractured world, in a very extreme world, where there are these extreme opposites, like extreme poverty, extreme climate injustice, extreme digital revolution. And all these extremes don't talk to each other. It's not like a diamond with lots of different sides. It's more like a fractured body. So I thought it would be an interesting experiment, like a scientific experiment, to put in the same exhibition called Espressioni con frazioni, fractured expressions, artists coming from these different extremes and that are totally committed to their extreme. So Mike Winkelmann, Beeple, is an artist that I've been talking to now for a year, since March of last year after his first sale. And at first I thought he was an algorithm. I didn't even think he existed. I thought he was just generating these images with some program. And then I realized he's not only a person, but he's a very conscious person and a very intelligent person who uses social media and uses collective intelligence as a material. So he uses attention as a material. And the extreme dishomogeneity of the images that he creates every day, which he was doing for many, many years prior to Human One, is actually almost a portrait of our times, in the way a Campbell soup flat canvas might have been a portrait of the times in the late 50s. So when one day in one of our every months, because we talk to each other every month more or less, he showed me what he was working on, which then became Human One, the sale of November at Christie's. I immediately wanted to show it.
For 29 million. It was sold for 29 million.
Yes, but I'm not sure that the money is a value for him. It's more an indicator of attention. We live in a numerological world, numbers. The digital world is translating everything that is scanned, everything into numbers. So it is very appropriate to our times that somehow money is a material in a way that's shaped. So it's more, I see him a little bit like the heir of Warhol, but in a different society. And I also see him as an heir of Beuys, strangely enough, because it's this form of social sculpture. But he is an outsider. And in the exhibition, there are the opposite outsiders. There are outsiders of many kinds. Richard Bell is an outsider, let's say. He's maybe the most extreme and committed indigenous activist and artist on the planet right now. And so I see the whole exhibition, Beeple included and Human One included, as kind of a pressure on a more
But Human One, the piece that you are showing,
yes.
Why is it pertinent, for example, aesthetically?
Oh, it's extraordinary. It's an extraordinary work. I mean, in a way, what you see is a box with 4 screens. But the videos that are being shown, the digital files, are, first of all, they're synced in a very particular way, and so that the sculpture itself rotates, so it's a kinetic sculpture. But the images you see are of a human body walking and getting nowhere. So it made me think about what it means to be online and offline and on life and off life, and the imagination. It's like a portrait of the imagination of a human who is eternally moving and yet eternally still. And that's the dilemma of the digital age, I suppose. So I think good art is always somehow a visual or sound or sculptural, not metaphor, but embodiment of how knowledge is produced.
But
That's
we are
what
not
art
sure.
is.
We are not sure if it's a one-shot interesting or a long-range career for Beeple for now.
Well, that's true, but I was never sure. And I've shown quantum physicists at the Documenta in 2012. It didn't matter if Anton Zellinger was an artist or a physicist. It doesn't really matter to me. I mean, when I saw William Kentridge the first time, let's say, in the early 90s, he was not shown outside of South Africa, I mean, except for some prints with a gallery in London, Vanessa Devereux, and a person called Bill Gregory in South Africa, in Australia. And so he was very much a local artist, even though he had won certain prizes. But I think that when I started to look at his work, I didn't really care if William was an artist or an animator. Was he an animator? You know, what was interesting to me is, again, it seemed like the medium and the message and the technique and the style were united, like the erasure of bodies and the erasure of paper went hand in hand. The uncertainty of whether it's finished or not finished, whether it's a drawing for a film or a film that documents a drawing, was very present.
New.
Well, it was new, and it
let's
didn't
come
matter.
back.
It
Okay.
didn't matter.
So
it doesn't matter. Let's say if he's an artist or not an artist doesn't matter to me.
No, but a good artist.
Oh, a good artist. Well, he's certainly good at what he does. He's one of the best, I think, in the world with Puck, that is actually doing work using the digital tools and the social media. It's the combination between the two.
Merci, madame.